Welcome to No Nonsense Wellness, where we talk all things GLP-1 wellness. So that includes Zepbound, Mounjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, semaglutide, tirzepatide, retatrutide, all the tides. Specifically, though, today we wanted to talk about an article in the New York Times that talks about how these weight loss drugs can affect your marriage because we are married.
We are.
And I read the article, but I'm springing it on Jared. So I think it'll be fun just to talk about like our takes because it was pretty intense. The title is How Weight Loss Drugs Can Upend a Marriage. Doctors warn about their physical side effects, but they can also have unexpected effects on intimacy because, of course, you know, when you're prescribed the drugs, your doctor is almost to a T. They're not going to be telling you about the way it affects the rest of your life. I think our doctor was one of the most like holistically approaching, and I don't mean like with essential oils. I mean like talking about lifestyle, dietary changes that we need to make. But I mean, she didn't even scratch the surface because that would take 5 hours. And also because she had never taken the medication herself. Right. So I don't think you can really understand.
You don't know until you've taken it.
No. And it's a mind F, I think, at times. And so the article kind of talks about people whose everything shifted. So I wanted to get into it with you and get your hot takes. Okay, before we start.
This is our rat dog.
This is our new dog. Would you like to talk about what her antics are?
Yes. So she is clearly not on a GLP-1 because she managed to get into the trash and eat a container of butter chicken from an Indian restaurant that made our son sick.
Yeah, it already made our son sick. And she's like 112. Wait. And she ate more than him.
Yeah. So I'm afraid about what I will wake up to tomorrow morning. Sad.
So she's been on lots of walks today, but I think it's not through her system. Okay, so the article follows multiple couples dealing with everything from newfound confidence, appetite changes, but not just for food, like general appetites are changing. And then the dark side is jealousy, divorce, maybe the evolving self-images or images of your partner after weight loss.
Does it get into like sex and emotional?
Yes, it does. So that's why I'm like, it's messy. People put their tea out there. And I, for one,
are you drinking it?
I think it's amazing. I feel like we don't have enough honesty in our society.
So it's
where yesterday somebody wore a dress that consisted of nothing to the Grammys, but somehow like we still lack honesty about real things in our lives. So here we are talking about other people's tea. And then some of the partners adapted and some didn't adapt. So let's talk about some specifics. So they studied married and single people, and they found that married people were more likely to divorce or separate, and single people were more likely to get married.
Interesting.
Yes. What do you think causes that? And does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because when you go into a marriage and you're like on the same level, and if one person shifts or if you both shift, then maybe your like mindset shifts along with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I'm a 200-pound person. I'm with another 200-pound person. Mm-hmm. And it's like all of a sudden you're still a 200-pound person and I'm a 150-pound person.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do you do with that?
I could imagine feeling, even if you're both very loyal and there's no chance of infidelity, one partner could be scared that the other partner would cheat.
How do you feel the fact that we both lost weight at the same time? Do you think it would have been weird if one of us dropped a bunch of weight and the other one did not?
As far as worries about fidelity?
Or just generally?
So I think generally you almost have to, because your lifestyle changes so much that one thing that we used to love to do was go to restaurants together. Yeah. Like we live in a city with an amazing food scene, and we're leaving so much unexplored.
Yeah.
And so I went to a dinner 2 nights ago and I felt like the person who wasn't in the know. A lot of industry people were there, and I used to be in the know. Like if a new restaurant was coming out, we were there. And now, also the city's just big. It's hard to keep up with everything. But I think that like, if only you were doing it, then I'd be like, what, going to restaurants by myself or vice versa? Like,
that would be so sad.
Yeah. You eat a lot more without me because of work.
Yeah.
But I think especially if it was you doing the medication and me not, I would feel really sad. But then also maybe it would be like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to work out more, whatever, take tennis lessons instead of, but then like you're still more physically hungry if you're not on the medication. But I think that the bigger fear is that it changes your brain and it changes everything that you even desire so much that then you are kind of with a different person. So if you're both going through a change, then you can be like, okay, well, I'm different, you're different, and now let's reconnect. But if only one person's going through the change.
It's like, I'm only different and we're in different places now.
Yeah. And if I recall correctly, I don't think they profiled any couples where they both went on it.
I think it would have been much harder if we'd gone separate.
Yeah. Because you did it for like a week or two without me. And
I'm so glad you joined me.
Yeah. Because once I saw that you did it and you did it like you felt good, then I was like, okay, I was originally going to wait till the end of March. And I was like, all right, I'm not waiting until March. And then what do you think about more single people are more likely to marry? I 100% see that.
Oh, yeah, you get the confidence hit.
And you're like out and about more.
Out and about
like,
more.
I'm way more active.
And you're probably not doing dinner dates. You're probably doing like active dates.
That might be hard if you're in Houston.
Yeah.
But I also feel like people just treat me better. Like I feel like I was very invisible before. And now.
So sad.
They talked about that in this article too, where somebody was like on a plane next to someone who was a smaller person and now they were a smaller person. And all of a sudden it was like they were let into the small person club and it let them know that, yes, in fact, every time they've been on a plane next to someone, their fears had come true where people were just thinking like, oh, I'm sitting next to the big person. So another quote that I thought was great from a psychologist said, when one person changes, it changes the system. It does break that unspoken contract. So I really like the way that that talks about how in a marriage, you do develop a contract pretty quickly. And like when you have kids, that's a huge one where you have to renegotiate your contract or a new job or a move or a parent dies or whatever. And I see this as just another contract renegotiation. Again, way easier, I think, with both of you on it.
100%.
The other thing I was thinking is I went through a period where the medicine made me super fatigued. And I feel like that's just kind of like if you get a chronic illness in a marriage, you have to have your partner be okay with that.
Then you had that like super like freezing phase where we kept the house at like 80 degrees.
Still enough. But I've bought pajamas. You're okay with me buying a ridiculous number of pajamas.
And they're great.
So, I mean, so what do you think? Do you think that our contract itself changed? Did we even have conversations about it?
I think it just kind of naturally came about. And I think it wasn't even really just about like the weight loss. It was like the routines changed and the comfort zones changed. And if you're not, I think, communicating that clearly, it can feel very like unmooring and unsettling. And I think we've done a good job of communicating that to each other.
I think so. But I think at first it was a little bit rockier because especially when you start it and then when you jump up to 5, it's
pretty drastic. Yeah. Your body's like struggling.
It is. And you still don't even know what's good. So like, again, I really think our doctor did us a solid by telling us to eat whole food. Plant-based, whatever. And we had already stopped drinking for the most part. And so I think it wasn't like one person was wanting to drink or go out or whatever.
Right.
Like we were already just kind of naturally going that way. But I think that we definitely had to have some, like I had to be able to tell you like, hey, I need da-da-da-da-da. Like I just cannot get X, Y, and Z done. I have to take a 3-hour nap or I'm like
I got you. 3-hour nap, you get.
And it would be like a feeling of like I would wake up and I couldn't physically get out of bed. It felt like something was like pushing me down.
And it would be like that for like
Crazy.
2 or 3 days after the shot.
Yeah, it was
until eventually you adjusted to the medication. But like for a good month or 2, it was rough.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about your issues? About why I was at the dinner?
Oh man. So I have a very sensitive stomach before the medication. But particularly I think a sensitivity to higher fat foods and beef in particular, like steak, typically doesn't sit well with me.
I have a question.
Yes.
Would you also be sensitive to barbecue pork? Because somebody suggested we get barbecue. And I was like, oh, I don't know if pork would work or would it have to be like smoked turkey breast? Have you tried?
I've had like pulled pork.
Okay.
I know I've definitely had the barbecued turkey breast and that was fine.
Okay.
Like we had that.
What do you think about sausage? Non-beef.
I would not do sausage.
Okay. So you'd stick with barbecue, poultry.
Or turkey. I would not do brisket.
So it's so much now that it's to the point my husband is forbidden from having beef and then being around me.
Yeah. If I'm going to have beef, I have to go on vacation.
Yeah, like I'd say get a hotel room.
Eat
you and your beef.
Eat the beef and then throw up to my heart's content. Because that's what's happened recently if I have like a large portion of like beef, is a demon will exit my body. Then you're annoyed.
Yeah, I think I feel bad depending on whether I think like you've really sinned.
Did you think this most recent time I really sinned?
I don't know.
It was pretty well
there.
behaved.
I wasn't there. But like if I see it and we both eat the same thing and it just affects you badly, that's when I feel bad.
But like when we were in Mexico, I sinned.
Yes. Or like if you're just like guzzling down a burger and I'm like, I wouldn't do that.
And then I'm like, it's fine. Yeah. So my law firm had a dinner at a well-known steakhouse here in Houston.
I did see pictures.
Each tape.
It was like a platter of everything
that they have. So they had king crab legs, king salmon.
Oh, the king's
veal. Sad by baby cow.
Did you eat it?
I did not touch the
okay. Veal. I mean, but that probably would have been better for you.
Yeah, but it's a bit leaner. And then like different types of steak. And I was like, oh, I'll be good. I'll only have one bite of each thing. So I'd like a bite of each thing. But
so, and that's crazy to me because you wouldn't think one bite would do it, but it totally did.
No, it was the norovirus.
So Jared, every time, like, I'm getting norovirus every month, but nobody else in the house is getting it. And if you're a mom of a toddler, you know what norovirus is like. And it's not like one person gets it and it's like goes away. It's like,
no, but it makes me feel better. It's like, surely it wasn't my own misconduct that caused this illness. It was the norovirus. I got that norovirus in Mexico. Totally could have been norovirus. Don't drink the water. But so I got sick, and as a result, wisely, I stayed home when we had this nice dinner.
And it was an amazing dinner, but also I don't think you would have done well at the dinners. Right. So I'm glad that you didn't go, and I think that in the future, it was like this one by these special chefs that were in town from the Faroe Islands, and the dinner was like amazing. But there were some fatty things. There was quite a bit of venison. And I think you would have had to have told them that you had
sensitivities.
Yeah. So I'm kind of glad that you did it. And I think another option would be like go off of it for quite a while if we did want to go to another one of these like amazing chef forward dinners and you just don't want to say that you have any sensitivities. But I almost think like the people who go off of it for like 2 weeks before a colonoscopy or something, that's what you would have to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just my theory. Okay. It gets real in the next. Okay. So it's a story about a couple, Javier and Jeanne. Names were changed.
Okay.
And so Jeanne went on tirzepatide and she was 52. She had recently gone through menopause. She said when she had their child, she went on antidepressants after that. So there's like a lot going on as there are for like most of us middle-aged women, but they were having issues in their sex life after she started the medication. They have not had sex. So they now they're in relationship therapy. The counselor recommended that they do like somatic touch or something like that, where you are just like touching each other over your clothes. And the husband enjoyed it. The wife said she liked it, but she did it once and she didn't want to do it again. And she just really wasn't up to do it anymore. They thought, well, maybe it's from the medication, or maybe she thought it was from the antidepressants and maybe she'd like to get off of those. But then also she said something about, hey, now I just feel a lot different and I just have stronger boundaries. And maybe she really hadn't been wanting to do it for several years. So, and then another quote, she said, she feels as if she's molting, which I thought was such a great metaphor. She's very much in flux and she hasn't caught up to her body, which I've totally had that feeling. You walk past a mirror, you don't know what's going on. I don't think that's exactly what she means though, but that's what I thought of when I heard it. And she discovered new boundaries and now she can assert them.
Yeah, like if your body's feeling new or unfamiliar or like you're not comfortable in your body, you might not want to like rush right back into intimacy.
But it sounds like maybe she was a people pleaser and she never wanted or had not wanted that for a long time. And now she finally is like speaking her truth
about like not wanting that type of relationship.
But then like,
what's Javier supposed to do?
Right. How does it feel to know, oh, wait, so for the last 5 years, you were just not saying anything?
You were just like going through the motions?
Wow.
That's hard. That's hardcore.
Yeah.
That's some tea.
So I just have a lot of, like, I really value that these people said this and put their business in the New York Times, but it just is so intense because I think that there's so many people that have gone through that because marriage is long. I think these people were married for about 15 years, have been married for about 15 years. So like, of course, over just that time, there's going to be changes. But I thought it was sad that
he was excited.
And he wasn't the partner that was sad about her changing. And it didn't seem that she was upset about, I don't know. It just seemed like who they were was different people.
Right.
So what do you do in that case when you're just a different person?
Either got to move on or go to a lot of therapy. What else you can do, right?
I think it's like you do have to do a renegotiation of a contract.
Yeah.
And it almost would be helpful to just, I guess for us, because of our backgrounds, we can just consciously say like, hey, this is a contract. Let's sit down and write down the terms.
Yeah.
We've never done that, but I think I could do that with that. I know, because I feel like, yeah, like maybe you should renegotiate this contract every 2 years or whatever. But I feel like that's really what this couple needs is some figuring out, okay, who am I? Who are you? And right now she's in flux and she probably can't figure that out either.
Can I read the next quote?
Yeah.
So couples spoke about losing a sense of themselves as foodies or party people or the people who eat waffles on weekends. The most contented couples seem to cohabitate with a looseness around these silent expectations. What do you think of that?
So it actually goes on to say something about like, you don't want to hold on to, okay, every night dinner is at 7:00. Everyone has to be there, which we're super disorganized about. It's never been a problem of being too rigid in our family. And I actually, it sounds like a lot of our ADHD qualities are actually really helpful in this process. Because it's like you can kind
of pivot really easily.
Yeah, because I'm always lamenting that we never have a routine and I'm always just making everything go by the seat of my pants and not able to handle anything. But I do think our expectations of each other are fairly low.
Which I think is good.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I still don't think so. No, I think we got to raise expectations.
Right. How do you want to raise them?
I don't. I think it's that renegotiation.
Yeah.
I think you always have to renegotiate.
It's the contract, sitting down and discussing the contract.
Right. And I think at least every semester for us, because the kids' schedules are changing and our schedules are changing, we have to renegotiate. But putting a firm dinner time on the table, that is like never going to happen for us. It has to be something else. And I would love to have really high quality family time in there, especially as our oldest kid gets older. But it cannot be one centered around food. And I also don't think that it can be centered around a firm time. And
it can be like a general time.
Or a day. But something that I've noticed is like, if I am not hungry, like if it's shot day, which for me it is today, not only do I not want to eat, the idea of like making food for my children, it is so hard. Like my brain can't even think of what would be good for them.
Right.
Isn't that weird? Because it's my own hunger. Why would I not know? Like I could never be a chef on this medication.
Yeah, it'd be very hard.
So weird. Like I can't even it's crazy to me. Like I can't think of what's good. So that I like to just have something to pull out of the freezer.
Like the jammies or something.
Yeah. Or like dumplings, whatever. But it's strange how food, it's like you can't empathize if you don't have your own hunger. Even, I mean, that's a strong way to put it because, like, of course I can make them something, but I can't be like, oh, what would go good with dumplings? Like, I have no idea. Okay, so this was a story, a quick little blurb that it talked about. I thought this was tragic to me. This really upset me. So it was a couple where they had met as elite canoers.
Cool.
Now they're both heavy. It says heavy set is how they describe it. So I'm going to assume that they're both either obese or overweight, but only one qualifies to be prescribed the medication. They both tried to get it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if you are overweight and you're not going to abuse the medication by like going underweight, then you should be prescribed the medication because of all the benefits for cardiac, possibly brain, cholesterol, heart disease.
Mochi.
I know. So then the one who was not able to get the medication said, I feel worthless and forgotten and left behind. Yeah. It made me really sad.
It is sad.
Yeah. So what would you have done if you couldn't have gotten it and I did?
I think I would have tried to beg, borrow. I think I would have found a way to get it. Like,
oh, really? Okay.
I think it would have been like, I think I would have like fudged my weight with mochi or like something like that, you know, like, all right, well, I'm going to like.
I mean, you know, people are like, we know people who
I probably would have just eaten a lot of barbecue just to get it back up there.
We're sinful.
Yeah.
We're simple method. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
That's what I would have done.
I mean, I respect that.
Could you see me doing that?
Yes, I could.
Yeah. How do you think that would have gone for me?
Well, no, it would not.
Yeah.
So I think that there's so many ways to get it. So then that's my other question is, did that person only want to go to their GP and not try again
That's what it sounds like.
But I think I probably would have done that too. Like if my doctor says I'm not going to give this to you, then like I'm not going to go around it. But I would have been like, okay, well, diet and lifestyle, calories in, calories out, even though I tried that in 50 different ways and 500 different ways and 500 different times. I think I would have been like, well, I can do it.
Yeah.
And maybe having a partner who's doing it with you could help. But there's no, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, I was forcing calories into my body. You can't compete with the medication.
No.
And then also just the blood sugar control and all the extra benefits you get. So I don't know. That one made me sad. Here's another story. You want to read it?
This one sounds messy. A 29-year-old woman lost 60 pounds, felt suddenly encumbered by her older husband. She's distracted by a flirtation with a family friend.
Yes. I feel like the obesity rate may go down in the U.S. and the divorce rate may go up
temporarily until things kind of align.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes when you're obese, that confidence hit will like cause you to pair with someone you're maybe not totally compatible with because you're like, I can't do any better. Wah, wah. And
I mean, isn't that a weird, like, I feel like with online dating or specifically swipey apps, isn't it all just like you're rating yourself?
Yeah.
And I feel like younger people who are habitually online have really, really high standards, like terrifyingly high standards.
I don't know how anyone goes on a date.
No, I wouldn't. And I feel like it's like commoditizing people just like we do in all of social media. So I'm not saying this 29-year-old woman had super high standards, but isn't it different than back in the old days when you might like meet someone at church or at the grocery store or whatever, and you kind of get to know someone a little bit before you're just like, no. Swipe. So we met online, but that was back in the olden days where
there wasn't a ton of photos. Like it was a lot more writing focused, writing long missives with very good grammar. And
you were.
That's why I want to listen.
So I have a question. When you put your photos on your dating profile, how good did you try to make yourself look?
I think I tried to make myself look fun. Like I wasn't as interested in, okay, is this the most flattering photo?
Right.
I was more like, am I doing things that look interesting? And I don't even remember what photos I used.
I remember one, you're like in a green polo shirt. Like, did we that or something?
And you still went out on a date with me.
You looked happy. I did think you looked fun. I think you did a great job of picking out fun photos. I tried really accurately. Like, I tried to show myself accurately, like not too flattering or too unflattering.
And I definitely stalked your Facebook.
Oh, all of
and
Facebook.
saw all the fun photos.
But also on Facebook.
You had like your like Halloween horror makeup Facebook.
I guess at least there's more photos. I should really deactivate my Facebook profile.
Mark Zuckerberg's probably watching it right now. I shouldn't say that. He's probably listening right now.
I mean, what else does Mark Zuckerberg have to...
I don't know.
I don't think he has as much to do as he has had in the past.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. A lawyer in Washington state left her husband after losing 50 pounds on Zepbound. It dawned on her that her bigger body gave him a sense of security. He was like, cool, she's not going to leave me.
Oof. So that's almost like he doesn't have to like
work
or be better in his relationship because she can't do any better than him. But then once she drops the weight, she's like, oh, this guy is a loser and is like taking me for granted. And now I'm a catch.
So here's my question. Do you think a lawyer was just being a mean person? Like with like incredibly high standards that no one could ever meet? Or do you think that, well, actually they're a lawyer in Washington state. For all we know, they're in Spokane, like hiking half the time. And
or
actually
like
super chill.
Amazon.
Oh yeah. That could be intense. But like maybe they're really chill and they just like realized, okay, my husband, he was not pulling his weight, so to speak. I don't know. Either one. But I also think like if we want more, even if we're being too demanding, I think you still owe it to your partner to tell them that you want more.
Yeah.
Because
I think it's crappy to like just peace out without like sharing what you
I think need. So. And if getting on the medication and losing the weight helped her decide that, no, I want more, then I think it's good that she told him. But then also going back to renegotiating the contract, like, okay, can you step up? Can I settle on some things? Can I,
Yeah, it goes back to expectations and the contract.
Yeah. So I think the thesis of this video is like, sit down, have a contract meeting with your partner.
And talk through things.
Yeah. And then revisit. I feel like you should also write down your contract.
Yeah.
And then revisit the contract. But if somebody defaults,
then What's the remedy?
Acceleration.
Acceleration.
This marriage is over.
Litigation.
Okay. And then somebody talked about when they were dating that no one wants to take me to dinner and watch me eat half a piece
That's
of
hilarious.
bread.
That's
If
so
I was
funny.
dating, that would be my sentiment. Exactly. Like, I think it might keep me from dating. Also, like, okay, let's say you went out on a date. First time, she's like, I love barbecue. We are in Texas, have to
And
go
then
to
she gets
barbecue.
a piece of Texas toast.
No, like you. So would you be embarrassed being like, oh, I can only have the turkey breast? Or, would it lead to like awkward situations? Or would you be like, hey, first date, just so you know, I'm on a weight loss medication. If I eat beef, I throw up really loud.
Is that how it sounds? Like that?
It's really bad. It's not like that.
Worse?
You're there.
I'm disassociated. Then when I'm done, I take a nap on the floor.
I'm laughing at you.
No, you're not.
I told you I am when I feel like you were innocent in the whole thing.
Which I usually am.
Okay, so, I mean, would that affect, if you were dating, say I died right now, 7 years from now, you decided to date, okay, you're still on the medication, what would you do?
I think I'd have to focus on non-food dates, and I think that forces you to get more creative, and I think that could be really fun.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we are going to go do some laser tag. Time to laser tag it up. Winner.
Laser tag?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's funny. Okay, so I would just start playing tennis and then date my tennis instructor.
Oh, it's very movie of you. Like with comedy.
I don't know. I think it's just the most obvious thing.
I have to leave Houston probably and go back to Denver, where you can just go hiking all the
That's
time.
what you'd have to do.
This is true.
Would everyone, so in
ghosting
7 years, you'd be like 50. So would everyone who's 50 just be on weight loss meds?
7 years, probably.
I think so too. I think it would actually be a non-issue. We all have phones implanted into our brains at that point, and then we're all on weight loss meds.
Yeah.
And then it's like Wall-E or whatever, where they can't walk anymore, even though everyone's skinny, but they're just like these skeletons like to be pushed around in chairs.
Sounds like a lovely movie.
Utopia.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, I'll read this one. The most contented couples cohabitate with a looseness around the silent expectations of coupledom. They didn't hold up dinner time as sacrosanct. And I think this is where you and I thrive. I think we're very flexible with each other and flexible with like how our life is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And there isn't like this friction of like our routine isn't hitting perfectly.
Can you think of anything that we did before the medication for fun together that we still do now? I literally can't think of anything.
I think we're more active than we used to be. Like now for
we
fun.
We might run a marathon together.
We will.
We will. I think we will.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, slow though. Like walk. Actually.
Slow marathon.
I honestly cannot think of one because we didn't do that much together before.
No, I was too busy eating and falling asleep.
I think we would, if we drank, we were exhausted and we have 2 kids and
I see now how
didn't have
eating
a lot of fun.
And drinking the food that I would eat and drink affects my ability to sleep and my ability to like be recharged.
I think you're also just more naturally sensitive to certain foods. But so I feel like we do more fun things now.
I think so too.
If by fun you mean like, well, we did go on walks before.
I think we walk more.
Yeah, we walk more now. We jog sometimes, pickleball. I get you to do some weightlifting with me and then you do your own. Then when I do my own. Yeah. Now if we go to the symphony for a date night, we aren't pairing it with food and drinks. Yeah, not usually. Or if we do, it's much lighter.
We're not going to the bar at the symphony to get alcohol.
Right. So is there anything that would be fun that we could do as a date night? Because now I have some ideas. Rock climbing.
Laser tag.
No, laser tag. Laser tag is so sweaty. Like I feel like when you're walking in there, you're just smelling like 13-year-old boy sweat.
Axe and sweat.
Yeah.
How about soccer golf?
I've never played that.
Me neither. That's cool though.
I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, I'll show you some YouTube videos later.
Okay. What else would you do for a date?
I think I would do like one of those like creative city scavenger hunts. So.
This is like when you tried to get me to geocache. And then
I love geo. The homeless encampment?
Yeah, so we went to a graveyard and it smelled really bad. And
well, who puts a geocache in a graveyard?
It's a cool graveyard.
It is a cool graveyard.
And people need somewhere to live. I just wasn't expecting to walk in on that. So you know what I would do? This does involve food.
to me.
I would want to go to the art museum with you. And there's like an amazing restaurant there where that was the very first restaurant I went to after I started. Well, when I went, I had the chicory salad and it was vegan and light.
And when I got the tasting menu, which was none.
I wouldn't do that.
No, you have to stick with the veggies.
So would you like to do that?
I'd love to do that with you.
That would be great.
Yes.
That would be really good.
What's your availability?
I'm pretty sure.
Pretty far.
But we could do something in the middle of the week.
Like a Wednesday night, date night?
No, like a Wednesday day.
Like
if you cleared your calendar.
Do like a lunch at Le Jardinier. It'd be fun.
That would be so great. What other date ideas would you?
I'm just very much impressed with
I have another one.
All right.
I have so many. Okay, Meow Wolf. Meow Wolf just opened here and I've been wanting to go.
Because my son and I have been to Meow Wolf and the original one in Las Vegas, and it was awesome, and he still talks about it, but I need to take her.
Yes, for sure. And then you could also take him again or our daughter. I feel like we could go
multiple times, yeah.
And I want to do rock climbing with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to start taking tennis lessons, not for the instructor, just to like.
What about pickleball lessons again? That'd be fun.
Yeah, I feel like tennis has more running.
It does. You know what I really like? Racquetball. But there's no racquetball courts anymore.
Yeah, there's paddleball.
There's paddleball, but it's not the same as racquetball.
Okay, well.
In racquetball, if you get hit in the eye, it'll suck your eyeball out.
Are you serious?
That's serious. They'll detach your retina. That's why people have to wear goggles.
I had no idea. I thought they just didn't want to get hit in the eye.
Yeah.
How
about a river float trip down one of the rivers in Texas? Didn't you do that?
Yeah, I did that in San Marcos.
Was that fun?
It is super fun. It's not terribly active unless you're going down the little
Did you get sunburned?
waterfall. No, because I wore full.
Did anyone else in your group get sunburned?
Yeah. But I'm pretty fair skinned, so yeah. But no, it's really fun in San Marcos. It's a long, tiring day, and it's not particularly active, but it's very fun. Because you get like another tube with a bottom in it for your drinks, which ours would be water.
Or either water or recesses.
Or like non-alcoholic.
Yeah, because Recess does those non-alcoholic.
Yes, the mocktails, yes. And then like you can put little food in there, and ours would probably be like beef jerky.
Or it can't even be. It'd be turkey jerky.
Turkey jerky. All right. Well, thanks guys for being here while we chat and say ridiculous things. I hope that this article was interesting for you. I liked that there's a lot of tea in it. But I think what we learned is we need to have a written contract for our marriage because that's the most romantic thing sounds like you can do if you're on one of these medications.
Now we have some good date ideas after our... Oh. Should we go on some dates and report back?
Oh, I do want to do the museum thing.
Let's do the museum.
Okay.
Next week.
If you have time, I
look at my calendar.
Okay. All right. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. See y'all later. Take care of yourself.
Yes.
Because you deserve it. It's true.
Yep.
All right. Bye.
Bye.